Hey guys, welcome to the channel. I am Mayur, and in today's episode, that is part 4 of the risk management, we are going to discuss about the risk analysis approaches, qualitative and quantitative. So without any delay, let's get started. See, a risk assessment is used to gather data. A risk analysis examines the gathered data to produce results that can be acted upon. There are two approaches to analyzing risk. Post collection of your asset values, vulnerabilities, threats, etc., it's time to put all this data to analysis. One of the approach is to quantify it, that is, use numbers and find out in dollar terms what is the value of the risk. This will help you present your analysis with facts and figures to the senior management. Another alternative and quite popular approach is the use of the qualitative approach. Qualitative analysis does not use calculations. Instead, it is more opinion and scenario based and uses a rating system to explain it via heat or a color map. See, both these approaches have their pros and cons. While the quantitative approach presents a mathematical approach to solving issues, qualitative is a softer approach based on scenario identification. Let's explore each approach in detail with examples. Qualitative methods walk through different scenarios of risk possibilities and rank the seriousness of the threats and the validity of different possible countermeasures based on opinions. There can be different scenarios which can be in hundreds. Examples of qualitative techniques to gather data are Delphi, brainstorming, storyboarding, focus groups, surveys, etc. See, the risk analysis team will determine the best technique for the threats that need to be assessed, as well as the culture of the company and individuals involved with the analysis. The idea is to gather experts or the IRM team and ask them to brainstorm scenarios which are relevant to the business unit, rank its seriousness, and create a heat map and which showcases the probability and associated impact, and then suggest countermeasures on its basis. Now, qualitative risk analysis generally results in a color scale or a heat map as showcased here. During the brainstorming, every individual will assign a probability according to his or her understanding of the risk scenario. See, let's take an example. A new data center of your company, that is Coati Bank, has opened up in Goa. Being a coastal region, the team has zeroed down on a scenario where a cyclone hits the city. Considering the historical data and the associated impact, five different experts give different viewpoints. The first person thinks that the probability of this is happening is unlikely, and if it happens, then the impact will be moderate, that is C, which makes the overall risk value as low medium. You can calculate the risk value for others. Now, a question may arise in your mind. Different people, different thought processes. What will be the final result? See, that is what qualitative risk analysis is all about. Experts gather together, brainstorm, discuss, storyboard, and come to a conclusion. A crude analogy would be how it happens with the jury deciding the case. See, they all discuss and come to a conclusion which is accepted and then presented in this case to the senior management. See, if you remember the episode where we discussed about risk assessment, the first step was to gather the asset values. This analysis builds on that and has mathematical equations to calculate various aspects. The steps in this analysis are assign value to assets and its exposure, estimate single loss potential per threat, assignment of a simple probability, calculate the overall loss potential per threat, and finally suggest countermeasures, post cost benefit analysis on the identified countermeasures. See, let's understand the meaning of each term. Exposure factor. See, exposure factor represents the percentage of loss a realized threat could have on a certain asset. Let's say if a cyclone occurred, it would impact around 50% of the data center in Goa. Hence, around 50% of the building is exposed to this threat, and hence the exposure factor would be 0.5. The single loss expectancy is the potential loss that would occur in case the threat materializes in a single event. See, let's say the overall value is estimated to be around 5 million for this building. The SLE would be 2.5 million as the exposure factor is zero point 0.5. The annualized rate of occurrence that represents the estimated frequency of a specific threat taking place within a 1 year time frame. If a cyclone occurs once every 10 years, the ARO would be 1 by 10, that is zero point 0.1. And finally, we have the annual loss expectancy. It's the loss potential every year that the company needs to budget off. Let's understand all of this via an example and actual calculations. See, taking the previous concepts, let's have a look at this example. The data center of the Quality Bank is valued at $500,000. It is estimated based on past data that such a cyclone occurs once every 5 years, and around 40% of the facility would be impacted if a cyclone hits the city. As a security professional, you have to present a risk report to the finance team to budget for this loss on an annual basis. So what is the amount that you would send to the team? See, here we have the asset value, that is the data center is valued at an overall $500,000. The facility is looking at an exposure factor of 40%, which gives us an overall SLE of around $200,000 obtained by multiplying these two terms. See, since we need to give the finance team an amount to budget on an annual basis, we need to calculate the ALE for the final answer. That can be obtained by multiplying the SLE with the ARO, which is zero point 0.2. This results in an overall loss potential on an annual basis to be around $40,000. See, such questions are quite common in the certification exams, and hence it would be good to remember the mathematical equations in this regard. Okay, so which approach is better? See, a common question that comes up is which is a better approach, numbers or colors? The answer would be multi-pronged. Apply what works best in your organization. Every approach has its pros and cons. While qualitative requires no special tools, the quantitative gives a monetary value which helps the security team get the budget from the management. A high dollar value of the risk also leads to the management giving closer attention to such risk than a red colored one. See, while no approach trumps one another, many organizations follow a hybrid approach, where they try to put a dollar value on the very critical risks, while the other ones are documented in a risk register with color mapping. This helps teams on both fronts, getting a budget as well as highlighting all possible risks to the management. See, here we are at the exam tips section. See, practice on the mathematical aspects of the quantitative risk analysis approach. The questions may not always be straightforward, sometimes the equations are asked in a different way. Instead of calculating the ALE, say for example, you may be asked to calculate what is the ARO. You can always check out my blog for more such stuff. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. You can also check out my sample exams on SSCP and CISSP on Udemy or Simplif if you are preparing for the same. Thank you guys for watching this episode, and I hope to see you in my next video.